What's up, gang? Happy Saturday. I like to come in the shop on the weekend because it's quiet and I can kind of focus and get things done. So what I've been working on today is a little bit of rework. We had a batch of pocket clips come in recently and there were some issues with it. There are issues with everything all the time. That's just how making things goes and how running a business goes. So I am fixing them. I think what happened is they formed them and then during QC, they actually found that the bend angle was not consistent, so they had to go back and rebend some of them. My assumption is putting these things back in the fixture, they were difficult to align correctly. I have been noodling an idea for a little jig to straighten and bend these things properly for like weeks. And I actually designed a little gizmo a couple weeks ago, and I am just getting around to sort of printing it and trying it out. I modeled this in Fusion. What I have here is effectively a modified pen cap. Like here's the actual pen cap, and so the dimensions are based off of this. There's a key on the bottom, and I made a little hole in here, and this basically just holds the orientation because I'm trying to check the alignment of the clip. So I need this thing to stay aligned. You can also see I relieved this area in the middle a little bit, mostly to give me some linear guidelines so I can visually check whether the clip is straight or not. So this just drops in this little cradle. It's just sort of hollowed out on the inside. I printed threads in the back of this. So I discovered a few weeks ago that because this Markforged is so accurate, you can print functional threads that work. Normally, you would want to print a thread so that the plane of the threads are parallel to the ground. This part wasn't a great shape for that, so I printed it flat. So these threads are actually built in layers going in this direction. I was not sure that was going to work. These threads did come out tight, but I just ran a tap through and no problem at all. So I just printed one more part that's still stuck to the bed. Yeah. So the thing that I just printed is basically a little handle for this screw. I have not tried to fit these together yet, so I don't know if they're gonna fit. Well, it's mostly in there. So there's basically, I don't know, a little gap here, and the ring of the clip slides in. In this back face, there's actually this shape of the clip sort of sunk into it so that when this gets pushed back, it actually registers in a specific direction because again, I'm trying to adjust the straightness so everything else has to be straight. When I tighten it, this bows a little bit. I made this really tiny. A lot of the times when I'm gonna print something, I try to make it as small as possible because it prints faster. And like, you never know if the thing you designed is actually gonna be right or not. And I'm impatient, so I just wanna get it off the machine. I think this is gonna be fine. This is in some ways a one-time use tool. I mean, I'm gonna fix these clips. We've never had this issue before. I hope we don't have it again. The other thing is, to manufacture something like this, how else would you do it? If you weren't gonna print this, you would have to like machine it, I guess. And I am a machinist and I have a machine shop. But like making this bunch of parts would be impossible to do it out of one piece, which is another cool thing about printing. A little feature that's sunk in there. There's no way you can put a tool in there. This is like days of machining. And we have like real parts to run, not just these kind of parts. Well, this clip is actually pretty straight, but let me try to find a bad one. Okay, so these ones are from my... That's okay, I'll wait. Okay, so I have a few clips from the gross defect bin, which are really bad, but I hope you can see how poorly aligned that clip is. So basically, the bend is not perpendicular to the plane where the clip gets anchored. I'm just gonna push the clip sideways, like so. And you just do it a little bit at a time. And that looks pretty good to me. It's funny, your eyeball is actually quite accurate, and I've had mine, I get my eyeball calibrated once a year so I can measure things with it. That's not a thing, but machinists like to say it. And I hope you can tell, it's basically straight now. So the next thing is, does the clip have the right tension? And to some degree, I was trying to make this little cutout area into something where I could also adjust the tension, because it would be great to be able to do both of those things in the same fixture, but that's not gonna work. I don't have so many of these to do, so I'm kind of not gonna worry about it. I just take the pen cap, and again, I've seen so many of these clips, I could just tell by eye if it's got the right amount of bend. There's basically a little gap between this front edge of the clip and the cap, but when you clamp it down, that flattens out, and that is actually what gives you the spring tension to hold the clip. Anyway, this one's good. This was a gross defect. This is now a good part. I've got a fair amount of work to do, so I'm gonna get to it. Thanks for hanging out on a Saturday. I feel like I've been lucky lately. It is very rare for both the original concept to work and also the first parts that you made to actually work properly. I give the clip a little flick with my thumbnail there at the end, just so there's no drag on the clip. So I know it's actually in its free position on center and there's no friction keeping it to one side or the other. My fingers are getting a little sore, but I don't have that many left. So let's press on. So I kind of eyeball it to see how bad it is. And then you just push it sideways and you're good to go. So yeah, I am stoked. I love it when a plan comes together. So stay tuned for my next plan, and then we'll both get to find out whether it comes together or not.